I actually still don't think that Trump is going to pull out of the TPP. I'm sorry. He may be setting up some kind of optical charade with Congress. What I actually think is that he fundamentally does not understand what the TPP actually is. I think he probably thinks that it's a trade deal with China. When his advisors sit him down and explain that it's a containment strategy of China, that is, that it is a completely consistent with the anti-Chinese strain in his foreign policy, I believe he'll prove Obama right and come around to it. I just can't comprehend how they're going to let him abandon East Asia to China after 70 years, and that is the truth of it. Pulling out of the TPP is handing over the entire region to China, including Japan and Australia. There's lots of reasons I don't like this agreement. Okay? I don't like all the investor rights things, the ISDSs, and I think we should be focusing on lessening militarization. That doesn't mean I don't understand the way the military thinks, and I do. And if you have an aggressive strategy to try to go after this rising power, like if that's your logic, then this is logical, and that is Trump's logic. That's the state's logic. I can't get my head around the idea that he won't do it. So I do remain convinced that he's just totally clueless, and that the situation may be severe enough that his life may depend on cluing in. If they're gonna do it, they'll do it fast. It's one of those things that, like, I mean, I don't know what it means for him to say that he's going to. He can't just stop the agreement, right? He's not the dictator. But as far as the premise of it goes, like if he ends up stopping this somehow, that's the kind of thing that that they could take him out over that. I mean, the guy campaigns on getting tough on China and then hands over trillions of dollars of GDP to them on day one. You need to believe him on getting tougher on China. Okay, that's the one thing that he said that you should take seriously. It just needs to be explained to him that the TPP is all about getting tougher on China, and then he'll say, the TPP is a great agreement. We gotta get tough on China. Sign the TPP, get tough on China. I found this article here at Slate, and basically, yeah, what I'm saying is right. This is a quote from Donald Trump. The TPP is a horrible deal. A deal that's going to lead to nothing but trouble. It's a deal that was designed for China to come in as they always do, through the back door, and totally take advantage of everyone. Completely wrong. Wrong. But he believes that somehow, still, right? The truth is the exact opposite. It's a containment policy. It's designed to make it harder for China to trade with the people around it. That's exactly what he wants. He should sign it. Somebody will eventually set him straight. It will get signed once he understands what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong here. I'm not a fan of the agreement. I'd like to see it stopped. But you don't hear Trump talking about the ISDS mechanisms. You don't see him talking about labor or environmental standards. He honestly thinks it's a trade deal with China. He just truly does not understand it. And he's going to have to eventually understand it, somehow. I don't know, you want to draw him pictures? He's going to have to get it. And when he does, he'll realize he supports it. We've really reached it. We've reached a level of total absurdity here, by the way, right? This is beyond the pale. But peeling away all of the layers of obstruction and ignorance leaves us with a simple truth. Donald Trump wants less trade with China and more conflict with them. If that's what you want, signing the TPP is the rational way to get less trade and more conflict with China. Because guess what, guys? Barack Obama also wanted less trade and more conflict with China. Hillary Clinton wanted less trade and more conflict with China. Because the deep state wants less trade and more conflict with China because they want to contain it because they fear its rising status. And Donald Trump will therefore sign the TPP. QED. an article here on foreign policy that is exactly what Trump was saying from the perspective of a pro-TPP person. That's a poor characterization. It's about the TPP and all of the things that it's saying about the TPP are what Donald Trump wants. If he doesn't bend on this, he'll prove that he's being driven entirely by ego. Okay? That's really the analysis of this that I think needs to be taken away from it. If Donald Trump does not realize that he supports the TPP, then he's unreachable. That his ego is everything. That he cannot accept the premise that he might be mistaken and is willing to do any and every absurd thing imaginable to avoid admitting error. His really only core message was getting tough on China. And that's a message that no doubt resonated with the establishment that put him in power. He will either understand the agreement and sign it, or he will refuse to understand the agreement and tear it up out of spite. And while I oppose the agreement, I think that such a reaction of narcissism over reason will send a message that should be taken with the utmost seriousness. It would be a broadcast to the world that he is unaffected by rational thought, that he's unreachable by logic. And thus, this is what is ahead of us. Donald Trump will sign the TPP, or he will broadcast to the world that he is insane. And I oppose it, by the way. Again, I'll say that again. But this is... He cannot possibly oppose the TPP and hold to his East Asian foreign policy. That is a staggering, stark, ridiculous contradiction. And he could only hold to that if he won't listen to anyone. And so this is a litmus test. It's a very important one. I'm not going to like the outcome. I don't like the outcome. I'm not going to like anything this guy does, okay? I'm not going to like anything about what he does. I'm not going to like the way he holds his sandwich, okay? But watch this. Because if he doesn't sign it, then we've got a crazy person running the world. We've got a nutcase. Even though, again, like I say, I oppose it. I hope you got my logic here. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.